What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 3 of Abundant Revelations. You're joined with Josh and Milo.
Hello.
And we've got Lucas, our special guest here today.
Hello.
So, do you want to start? You must have some questions for Lucas today.
Why are you just throwing that
I'm
on me?
throwing it on you. You made me do the intro today. That's
So,
what it is.
Lucas, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been a nice day.
What have you been up to today?
Well, today I had driving lessons, which went all right, and then I was helping out a mums and toddlers group.
Tell us more about those driving lessons.
That's not. It's going well. It's just learning the routes, all the test routes, and sort of cutting out some small mistakes. Other than that, it's going well.
How many lessons have you done? Quite a lot.
11 so
11?
far.
Wait, is that like 1 hour left?
2 hours. So I've done about. I can get it up actually.
Oh, he's getting it up. He's getting the sources out. The sources, like, trust me, bro.
According to this app that we all trust, I've done 0 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I've paid for 0 lessons, so actually I'm a fraud. No, I've done. I must have done about 22 hours. Yeah.
Okay, 22 hours. That's not too bad. Okay, wow.
And 0 crashes?
0 crashes.
Better than this guy.
Yeah.
I have never crashed.
I did, however, on my first lesson, I may or may not have. It's not been confirmed yet. Killed a squirrel.
Okay, nice.
So yeah.
Should we jump into the heavy stuff, Lucas?
I think so. Yeah.
Or should we warm you up a little bit?
Okay.
Where do you work, Lucas?
I'm not allowed to speak about that. That's one of the few things I'm not allowed to say.
So Lucas works for MI6. We've worked out just now.
I'm actually employed by His Majesty's government to fulfil various tasks, all of which I'm not allowed to say.
There you go. Go get him, boys. Go get him. So obviously this is about like belief about this, and I know you did like an internship with the church.
Yeah.
So could you tell us more about like what you actually did?
Yeah. So my internship at church, it was great. A lot of what I did was behind the scenes stuff, sort of preparing for events, helping plan, running the events. So I was like co-leader. So you'd have like the session leader, who was the person running the actual event. So like Cap Life Skills, and was running it, Anne and Nikki, and then I was come in as like second, helping prepare and organise some things. As well as that, I sort of made sure the church stayed tidy the best I could, which is a bit tricky considering we've got a preschool in there. You're not allowed into all areas of the building. It's great fun. Yeah, a lot of cleaning, a lot of making coffees. You wouldn't believe the amount of coffees I made. I must have hit about a mil. I reckon I did.
Are they always the same like formula, or is that different?
Coffee, baristas. Once you've got it, it's surprisingly easy because you look at the machines and it looks really complicated. Yeah. But all you're actually doing is telling it to pour out a specific amount of espresso, and then all it is how you make the milk. Okay. So if you want like a cappuccino, you would have the like, I don't know how you would explain it in a way for someone who's listening. There's like a tube, lots of hot water comes out of it, about 120 degrees, and you pour that into the milk. And then depending on where that tube sits, if it sits at the top, it's going to be really bubbly. So that's more like a latte. Yeah. The further down it goes, the more the milk sets. So you can make a cappuccino that way. Okay. It's very easy. And as well as part of my internship, I trained a lot of people to work as baristas for our community cafe, which was good fun.
Costa Coffee, sign him up.
You had your chance, you missed it.
That's secretly where he works, though, isn't it?
Can't say.
Can't say.
Not allowed to say.
Lucas, you were part of like a football academy, I believe, as well, right?
Yeah, briefly.
What teams was that for?
So, Gillingham gave me a scout, so I went up there for a day as part of my school was a sports academy, should we say in quotations. So part of their links was that we got to go up for a day. I made the cut for the first group. So there's like, you get the people in and then you compare them, see how they do against the others, and then they take like the top percentage. Yeah. And then what you do is you go back in, maybe, on my case, it was on a Thursday, once a week sort of thing for about 2 months. And you trained there in the academy, you sort of learn a bit about football, and they sort of gauge how good you are. And then what they do is they break up the teams I call it, like the list of people into 2 categories. So if you're very good and you've got a chance of making it, you go into like category 1. If you've got no hope, and this is the important thing for people who are aspiring footballers or at age 32.
Yes.
Because there is someone at my work who still thinks he can make it. I've got bad news. If you're in the second category, you're not going to make the cut, but you're still around sort of for a thing. So I did Gillingham. I played at a tournament for a football club, not Gillingham, another one, which I used to. It was like a Sunday league type thing. I played in the tournament. I played very well. My team was rubbish, so I stood out even more. Just so happened a West Ham scout was there and was watching a couple of my games I did exceptionally good in for my standards, and said, "Oh, come on down for a couple of weeks and see how you do," sort of thing. It was a bit more formal than that, but that was the gist. So I did that. Again, they break it up, but because obviously it's a bigger academy, West Ham is unfortunately quite a big club. I am a Spurs fan, so that's why I say that. So there's 3 categories. Same premise. If you're not in category 1, you're not good enough. If you're category 2, they'll keep you around. If you're category 3, they say don't bother. This was literally just before COVID happened, maybe like a year or so ago. A year or so before, I want to say, give or take on the timescale. I made it into category 2 again. I was like middle of the pack of that, as a centre back rather than a forward player, because I think I'm a little bit better at that. But so I did that. Again, COVID happened. I stopped playing. Then during COVID, Charlton had a thing with my school where we went. Same thing. They said I looked good. When lots of other kids around Kent who are vastly more skilled than me. Some of them are actually making Premier League debuts. I know one who I was with at West Ham made his recently. I can't remember the life of me his name. It's really bad.
Oh, no.
I did look it up before I came here and I've forgotten because I anticipated this question. But yeah, he's incredible. Like the difference in level. But yeah, same thing. Sort of COVID happens. Wasn't really into football at that time. I sort of got a bit frustrated with it all.
Not watching on the
Being a
TV.
Spurs fan.
Being a Spurs fan, that was a particularly groggy time to watch Tottenham. So yeah, that's sort of it. And then I forgot to mention, in my internship, I got to go out to Romania.
Yeah.
And the people out there, they run a, like, I want to say it's like a Sunday league, same thing, but they also do it on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Turns out there's an ex-police officer. He made it to the Romanian national team, all right? Now, in Romania, they got like a normal-sized pitch, but 5-a-side goals.
Okay.
Just to give you an idea, if you know anything about football, you understand how small these goals are. This guy was picking the ball up from the halfway line. No one could get near him, and he was just firing him in the top corners each time. It was mental.
Crazy.
Like, the skill level is insane. But yeah, I sort of stopped. Sort of when COVID happened.
Yeah, Milo, have you had any football experiences? Or were you in section 3?
Well, I had a scout day at Charlton, and because I was a defender, I got to play with Chris Solly, which is my claim to fame. Anyone who doesn't know who that is, it's Charlton's old right back, but he's like 5 foot. So we were all like 11, and we were all like the same height as him, and it was quite fun. But yeah, they were like, "Oh, you heal back if we want to keep you," and I didn't heal back.
It happens.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that was fun. And then I joined a nice little 5-a-side football team, and
You did.
got goal of the season 5 seasons in a row. So what can I
He's
say?
got a
You
rocket
talked
on
about
the
this before.
Yeah, well, I just want to bring it up as many times on the podcast. Still got the trophy at home, so
Yeah.
not to brag.
It was a good goal, to be fair.
Play.
I would. No, we're not playing the clip. It's a podcast. I wouldn't say I've had too many experiences myself. Had a couple football trials. You watched one of them actually. I scored with my left foot that day, and then didn't score with my strong foot once. But you know, we don't talk about that. but it was a good trial. I had like
waste of free hours.
QPR coaches and stuff there. It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was some good stuff. Waste of 3 hours.
We had to drive there and drive back. It was.
I drove though.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is why I was rubbish. My legs have been used too much before. It was like an hour and a half journey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. You've got to have some questions now. Come on.
I forgot
I'm carrying the podcast here today.
I forgot we were doing this until like 12:30 today.
Basically, he's not as committed as I am. So even Lucas is more committed. He's been thinking about this all day.
Yeah, I let my driving instructor know about this.
So if you're watching, hello.
Big up. Please don't get angry at me that I stalled your car today and almost hit someone on the hill.
Oh.
It wasn't that bad, but it felt that bad.
It felt that bad. Okay.
It's what is it? It's a known like really tricky junction in town. They call it Test Centre Hill. And that's everyone who lives around here in the local area knows that's that's like awful. And pretty much what happened was I went to go. This Audi driver jumped the red light and cut across me, so I stopped and forgot to put the handbrake on, so I started rolling back. And also,
turn left or right?
I was turning right, which is why it's vastly more difficult. But also, to the man who was doing his driving test behind me, I'm so sorry if you failed because of me. Because you were behind me for a while.
Oh no, that's rough.
And
most people do that on their tests as well. Go up that hill. I did that as well. And I had to go right. Yeah.
I went left.
You went left.
They let you off lightly.
They let you off light, yeah.
Genuinely, they were like, yeah, left at test, and I was like, I've got to do the hill, and we was like, yeah, take a left at the top. I was like, yes. And it was clear as a day. I was just pulled straight. I was like, this is awful.
When it comes to driving, right? Just to get back onto the theological side.
Pray before Lucas gets behind the wheel.
I do pray quite hard, more than normal when I am behind the wheel and getting in the car. But I tell you what, the first 10 minutes I am so nervous, and thankfully, like God's peace comes upon me and I'm fine. It's the only way I can put it, because I kid you not, I shake, my teeth chatter. It's like really bad, like. But just not my legs. My legs are fine. It's just my hands when I'm driving. But I don't know how to explain it. After those 10 minutes, I'm fine.
Okay.
So it's like that 10-minute period where I'm in the car, leading up to it, and then I get in the car and it's like it's better. But leading up to it, I'm so bad. It's awful.
So, but when you get in the car,
when I get in the car and I pray, it's fine. So I've tried praying outside the car, and I go, God, help me. When I get in the car, just have your peace on me, and it happens every week.
What if you prayed like half an hour before, then those last 10 minutes?
Well, I always you don't want to test God,
True.
So I always just go, look,
don't.
because then he comes back and does something and he's like, don't test me, sort of thing. I've learned that the hard way a couple of times, being young and naive.
He was praying over his FIFA match.
I quit after FIFA 20. Pretty much.
That's late,
yeah, it was just as soon as I'm in the car, when it matters, he's there.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Amen.
How many times a day would you say you prayed on average, like without your driving lessons? Do you is that something you do regularly, or is that just when you feel like you need it, or just
Oh yeah, because it's something we talked about, isn't it? A little bit. Yeah.
I'm going to say what everyone says and say not as much as I should, which is because I don't think you can ever pray as much as you need, because we're all human and we all forget and stuff. But I normally would say I pray at least once a day, I would say. And that's usually if I'm doing something like important that matters, and I just go, right, whether it's writing up something or driving or going to work, I'm just like, right, God, I need you here because I can't do this on my own. And I think sort of that's really when I pray.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because it's like, obviously you can pray for anything, but it is a tool for us to use. Pray for someone for healing, they can get healed. You're asking God for things. Yeah. And that's how I particularly look at it. It might be wrong, but that's sort of in my mind what praying is. Like I pray, oh God, please, help me with work or help me with a written report when I need it, or just before I'm going in, oh God, just make sure that this is like a good day and like, everyone's chill and you know there's no no underlying stresses. Every like in chill in the sense that they've had a good day, they're in a good mood, because there's nothing worse. And this has happened at one of my old jobs at a cafe, and my boss was awful. And I remember praying so hard in tongues and everything, just that she'll be in a good mood, so it'll be bearable at least. Because everyone has a bad colleague, but when it's your boss, you can't like get away from them.
Yeah.
So yeah, but like when I say praying for people to be chill, they're in a good mood, they've had a good day, good week, whatever, and happy to be there, sort of thing.
Yeah, my last job was quite similar with the management being like that. So I obviously can't name the company, but you know who you are. So you know who you are. But how many times do you pray? I can't remember what you said the other episode.
On average about twice.
Yeah.
Kind of once when I wake up, but it's like mid doing stuff, so I'll be like getting changed for work, just like speaking out to myself. So it's not like one where I just like on my knees going do. It's kind of like let this be like a good day and like thank you for waking me up, like and then I do one at night before I go to bed, which is like thank you for the day, like I talk through anything that's like happened or anything that would be on my heart that day. Like so if I got in an argument with a parent or like something like that, I'll be like resolve this please, and then I'll just be like night, amen, and then just go to bed. So on average 2, but obviously like you said, when life gets busy you kind of like
it's different.
But also, I mean, sometimes people get in their heads when it comes to praying. You get those like really good prayers, and it's like so Shakespearean almost in the way how they pray, and they're like, "Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today," and I just raise up, you know, and they go on and on and on, and that's fantastic. But what's even more fantastic, you could do 20 seconds in your head, 20 seconds out loud, and it means just to saying to God, as that. Doesn't mean that I'm putting down, you know, that sort of prayer, but to God, you know, the fact that you're talking to him, you're keeping that relationship means just as much, and that I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I like that. I actually write some down at work instead of like even reading it or saying it.
Instead of doing your job.
No. It's just like
there's nothing wrong with stopping
moment. You've got like 20 seconds. You just do a little one. You feel like you need something to help you out through the day, and I just write something down. I'm like, that's what's on my mind. Which is not. It's not like skiving work. I am still there doing my job.
Don't sack Josh, he needs this.
Yeah, I need this.
Would you say you pray more in your head or out loud? Because for me, I definitely pray more in my head.
In my head, because like most of them are at work, and it's like, you know, there's other people working around me. I don't want to be disturbing people, but like if I was at home, I think mostly I would say it out loud.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think most of mine, actually, I think it's a bit 50-50, because, you know, like you just said, like, when I'm out and about, it is all just, like, in my head, but as soon as I get home, I'm just, like, ranting to God, just like, you know, ranting.
What stuff are you telling him?
Nothing he doesn't already know.
Exactly. Like, he already knows it. I just it does make you feel a bit lighter, just being like, God, man, this has got my goat, as they say.
Got my goat.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
I've never heard that either. Can you please? We're the same age as well.
got my goat, you know.
Milo's 40.
I do have back pains, you know.
You got no reason to have back pains.
Oh, this is a long day.
How's your posture like? Because that plays a part, you know.
It's awful. It is awful.
That's why you got the back pain, bud.
Yeah, that is. I watch back a clip and I'm just sat like this, so I do need to
sit up more, like a bit more straight. You know?
For those who are listening, they've all sorted out their posture.
I don't like what he's doing right now. It's making me uncomfortable.
He's just being a bit weird.
No, this is how my posture. Look,
you're proper like trying to pop out your chest and everything.
You look like one of those like There's like a craze at the moment on TikTok, and it's like filming people in spoons. And Milo looks like one of those people you would see in spoons right now, with his chest puffed. You know the sorts. They're sat in the corner. They're looking at everyone with their chest puffed out.
I can confirm Milo does this on a weekly basis.
He frequently spoons.
Frequently does this.
No.
I've got another question. You told me in the past about like a back injury. We've just been speaking about Milo's back, so I thought it was a perfect segue.
Yeah. Just ignore the last 2 minutes of rambling. It's quite a story, so we've got plenty of time. So get comfortable if you're listening. So
get that posture straight.
I want to say I'm not entirely 100% on all the timings, so I might be off. September 21. I literally just finished. It was an awful day. I distinctly remember that. I had triple history, double health and social care. I was in all day, and it was like one of the most awful school days I've had in a while. So I was quite keen to get out, and bolted out of school. And I was going over this footbridge and coming up this really narrow road, really tight road, and it had like a junction right at the start and one right at the back of the road. And I was walking up this road, and there was this Amazon delivery van, you know, the really big Ford Transit ones?
Yes.
Double parked, so it was fully parked on the path, so you couldn't carry on walking on the path to go forwards. You have to go round it. Yeah. So I sort of stopped, I would say about 7 or 8 feet away from the van, and I had walked a couple of steps forward to be in line with the van, and I literally put my left leg out, and I was just going to have a look down the road to see if there was any cars coming in. As I put my leg out, a red Ford Focus came, and it completely took my leg. It swung right out, and I must have spun around 3 or 4 times on the spot. Lord knows how I managed to stay on my feet after that, but I didn't fall over, and I remember putting my foot down and being in complete shock of what happened. And I tell you what, they must have been going about, bear in mind this is also a really small road with a junction at either end, so you shouldn't really be going faster than about 20. They must have been going about 30 miles an hour, because by the time I had looked up to see, you know, the license plate of this red Ford Focus, he had already gone round the corner, so I literally caught the glimpse of the car but not the license plate. And the way I can tell you it's also a Ford was actually I'll come back to that in a sec. So I just realised it's not going to make sense.
He's just got a Ford like logo on his
I did. My leg was swollen up 3 times the size it normally is. Right. Had the grill pattern and the Ford logo on it.
No, free tattoo.
So, yeah, pretty much. So I sort of put my leg down. I sort of stood there in shock, watching this car carry on driving. And one, I was really pissed off. A, I'd been hit, but B, they didn't stop. They carried on going, and that upset me more than being hit. The fact that they hit someone, they must have known they hit me, because I knocked in their. I'm pretty sure I knocked in their like what's it called? Wing mirror. Thank you. Ring mirroring, as well as the fact, by judging by the grille markings and the Ford logo, it would have been very hard to miss me. But yeah, so I sort of stood there, and instead of going back over the footbridge back to school, which would have taken me 2 minutes, I decided to walk the mile and a bit home, because in my head it was a flat sort of route. Yeah. So I don't know how I did it. I've got a really high pain tolerance from other injuries and stuff, but I managed to get to the end of my road before I couldn't walk anymore. I literally couldn't put any weight or anything on my leg. I was falling over because it was so painful. So I rang my mum, bless her, who also happened to have a foot injury like 3 weeks before, and still had the crutches that she was meant to give back to her friend. So I rang her, and thankfully she was at home, and I said, we're at this pub, you need to come pick me up. I've been hit by a car. I don't want you to panic. So she came down, gave me the crutches, and I walked up, and I got in my house, in my living room, on the sofa, pulled up my school trousers, and the sight, I almost threw up from how my leg looked. It was purpley, yellow, orange. I did not know human beings could turn that colour. I had the grille indented. That was like a black sort of markings on my leg where the grill and the Ford logo was. So my dad walked in with my brother and sister maybe 2 minutes later, came in the room and said, "That looks like that hurts." I went, "Yes, it does. Should we go to A&E?" Okay, probably. So we went up there 6 hours later. Bear in mind, I didn't get any pain relief or anything, but you know, it was an extremely busy day. So we do love the nurses up at A&E because they did get to me eventually and were very kind. Fast forward a couple of months, I'm fine, but I can't feel the bottom of my foot.
Okay.
So that was like, oh, maybe it's still, you know, a bit of wear and tear. One of those things that will come back eventually was sort of what the doctor said. June 2022, I had work experience at the preschool at our church.
Okay.
And I was really ill. I couldn't eat anything. I was on soup pretty much. Soup and liquids. I was throwing up blood by the handful.
Oh.
But the bit that gets worse, at the start it was quite light blood. And I was like, okay, that's a bit weird, you know, keep an eye on it. I told my parents and everything. We said, we'll keep an eye on it. If it gets worse, if there's more, we'll go to the hospital. I was at preschool and I was so sick. Like the pain I was in my stomach area was so bad that I got sent home, picked up and went straight to A&E. I got there, was rushed straight through, and they were checking for cancer because I threw up in the hospital and it was thick black blood. They were checking cancer. They were checking my bloods, my urine, my hair as well, just in case I was taking drugs or something to, you know, because in your hair it stays longer than on your nails and stuff, and I bite my fingernails. So disgusting habit I need to kick, but I do. So they couldn't take any from there, so they took my hair just in case. Thank God it wasn't cancer, but they said it's stomach ulcers. So I was like, right. They gave me this medicine. It was lansoprazole. I took it for 3 days. The 4th day, I had a massive allergic reaction. So I went back up, saw the same doctor again. It's definitely it gets worse. It gets worse. Somehow it gets worse. Saw the same doctor. No, it's definitely stomach ulcer. Take this instead, which is omeprazole. And if you know what omeprazole is, you have to take painkillers with it.
Okay.
Because it destroys the inner linings of your stomach for the body to then be able to repair it. So that would be fine if you had a stomach ulcer, which I did not, which I later found out. Spoilers. So I went back maybe every single day in horrific pain. Like I got put on it's like cocaine, is cocainamol or something like that. And it's one cocaine. It like obviously it numbs the nerves and stuff. It's the natural painkiller. It was something like that. But it was 1 or 2 down from morphine, just to give you an idea of the pain I was in. It was getting worse to the point where this doctor said, okay, this is like something's definitely wrong. This doesn't add up. We still think it's stomach ulcers, but it's not cancer. We know that because of your bloods and everything else that we did. So I got booked in for a CT scan, which is where they put a dye into your bloodstream and it shows up all your bones, all your muscles, all your stomach line and everything. Funny enough, it also gives you the strange sensation while they're injecting the dye that you're wetting yourself. Which I didn't know about, so I was freaking out on this bed thinking, just wet myself, great. I'm so sorry for our lovely A&E and NHS staff who are going to have to clean this up after me. So I sort of got up afterwards and I went, oh, sorry mate. This just stayed in there. Sorry mate, I've wet myself. Oh no, that's just a side effect of the dye we put in. Oh, you could have told me that before.
I was and there was a puddle.
I was there for about 12 hours that day. Went to same day urgent care treatment, which is something. So a place I was very like not with it that day. And I was with my mum and got called through to the doctors there. And she sat me down and she said, I'm very sorry, Mr. Evans. Looks like you've broken your L5 to your L7. You've got an 80% chance of not walking again and you're losing all control below your waist. And I remember sitting there and I feel the same as I did then as I do now, just complete peace about it. Utter despair, but God's peace completely over it. And I remember looking at my mum and she had she had to be told 3 or 4 times. And I sat there and I remember saying, "It's all right, Mum, I'm going to be in a minority, I'm going to walk, I'll be fine." And I remember telling her that, and I basically left there and coming sort of on the way home, coming to grips with the facts, I'm never going to be able to play football again, I'm never going to be able to do running again, I'm never going to learn to drive.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the wheelchair for the rest of my life. What's that going to look like? I'm not going to be able to do the things I want to do because I'm quite a sporty, active guy.
Yeah.
I enjoy doing that. How am I going to, like, all these questions coming into my head. I remember going home, I remember praying, and that same peace came over me again.
Yeah.
And my mum then came into my room and she said, when I was born, God spoke over her really loud, like someone was shouting, and he said, "I did not born your son to bear misfortune. You know, I brought him in to have a prosperous life." So I remember sort of going home and they weren't going to do anything to me at the hospital or anything. They were just going to leave me be for a couple of months, and I got even stronger painkillers. So I was like taking four and a bit steps at home. I could just about make it to the toilet, but I'll pass out in the bathroom from the amount of pain I was in.
Yeah.
So I remember that, and I just remember Dad, my father. He's incredible at what he does. He's one of the best in the world. He trains sanctioners.
Yeah.
So like people you go to the bank to lend money, he trains them.
Okay. Nice.
Thank goodness he had private healthcare through his job. So I was able to go see a back surgeon, and he said, "Look, chances not good. You're still growing, so you're not going to get any taller, but that growth might go into your spine and it might heal it. So what we're going to have to do for the next 6 months is intensive physiotherapy for 3 days a week. You're going to have to do these stretches every single hour of the day because your back is like a door hinge. If you don't use it, it's just going to stiffen up and that's going to be worse." So I did these intensive physiotherapy exercises I was given, and my life was that painful. I can't describe the pain. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. That was awful. But I did it every hour. I would dread it. I'll be like, "Oh, I've got to do it now." I wasn't in school. I must have missed about 6 months of school. They told me to drop out. They said, "You're missing too much school. You're in year 13. You're not going to make it. Drop out." So that was another thing. But each month I'd have to go in for MRI scans, CT scans, all these scans. I had to do blood works, a lot every month. And each month they were taking my height because they were worried if I shrunk, that means I'm getting scoliosis. The spine's bending from the injury. So I always got my height taken, and my height stayed consistent. But I wasn't getting any taller, which means that my back was healing, which was a good sign.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that. I did it every single day, every single hour. It was agony. But the more I did it, the more God spoke to me, and he was like, "You're going to get through this. You're going to walk." My mum was so confident in the fact that I'll get through this, she booked a holiday in Switzerland.
Nice.
After a back injury, she booked it for 6 months. So she was that confident. After 3 months, I could walk for maybe about 10 minutes before being in too much pain to carry on walking. So we lugged around like one of those £1 like foldable camping chairs. I took that around with me everywhere. Well, not me, I got someone else so I can carry anything. And I'll be like, right, I need to sit down.
Yeah.
I had that there. So we did that, and we spoke to the back surgeon, and he was like, "Go for it, go to Switzerland."
Yeah.
You know, I'm going out there as well, because if you have an accident, something goes wrong, it's...
You had a doctor come with you to Switzerland?
I had a doctor.
Nice.
I had a doctor come with me to Switzerland. I don't know where on earth where he stayed. I was so high off my face on all these painkillers. I don't really remember that holiday. Just the fact that I would sit in this chair every so often. It was a nice holiday. Switzerland's a beautiful place. So I've got where I stayed as my phone saver screen to remember, you know, everything. So
do you want to show it?
We can show it. We can show it.
First, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You can't really see it at all.
Can't see it too well, but
it's beautiful. After the next 3 months, I was getting a lot better. I was at school. I was doing school. I had to miss every Tuesday. We got to a stage where I had to do it once a week, but it was so painful I couldn't carry on doing it each day at that point. So we got to once a week, very intense day. So I missed Tuesdays, which was all right because I missed history, health and social care sports days. I missed that. It was an awful day as well. I had 2 really bad days. The rest of them were fantastic. But yeah, so I had that, and then I sort of got weaned off of the really heavy, like extremely heavy painkiller medication onto like weaker stuff gradually as well. So I was doing that, I was doing all the exercises, I was being very good, and I moved to a different physiotherapist because he specialises in that sort of stage, because the break wasn't as severe as it was. And the main problem I was having was my muscles were sort of dying to the extent that they couldn't be used. So other muscles in my back were having to do the job.
Do more of the work.
Do more of the work because I couldn't use them. Yeah. So what happened was my back, the middle muscles on top of your ribs, they're called joker muscles. They're really sensitive.
I didn't know that. I'm learning stuff here.
The first day I was in physiotherapy, he touched it and they started spasming. It was awful. But yeah, I could see it was like like a machine gun. And you know, each day he was working with me on that, and I was going through it. I was still doing school, but I was very far behind and everything. And I remember praying, and I was like, you know, I really need my grades for sixth form because I don't want to go to college really. I don't trust myself to do the work. I was Skive. I'm not the best at school. I hate school. I wouldn't want to do the school work. Whereas sixth form, that sort of schedule, teachers sort of nagging you a bit. You're still in school, but you're not in school sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I had that, and I just was like, I need to get qualifications to get a decent job later in life. Like, that's just how it is these days. Especially considering I'm quite young, leaving school. I want to get a decentish job at some point. I need sixth form qualifications because my GCSE results were in the COVID year, so they weren't exactly brilliant. So yeah, I was like, I really, I was like, I really need decent A levels to like show I'm actually smart, because you know, otherwise I'm a bit stuffed. And I remember praying, and God said, you know, you will get them. You have to work hard though. So I did. Eventually, I think on it was the 29th of February this year, so 2024, I was discharged from the physiotherapy. They said I was fully healed. I wouldn't have anything to worry about. Just be cautious. So unfortunately, my dream of being a bodybuilder is ruined. I'm not allowed to lift any weights over 30 kilos.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm fully healed. I'm allowed to play football, clean bit of health. Yeah,
that was amazing.
That's the story. It was brutal to be in it, but the other good news was I did get decent grades for sixth form. I got 2 merits and a D in history. So as far as I'm concerned, missing 6 months of school, being high off my face on painkillers, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's quite good actually. Yeah, it's impressive. Ooh. You've now got to beat that. So do you want to go ahead? No, it's actually amazing. Very good story. I was getting chills whilst you were saying that as well. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. I don't even know where to go from there really.
I've got a light question.
Okay, go on.
So I asked Josh this last week on the podcast. Now it's your turn.
Okay.
It's just like, it's going to be a little segment we do with each guest. Right.
I know what he's about. Yeah.
Who is your favourite disciple?
Peter.
Why?
Because Peter did walk on water briefly, and in my book that's pretty cool.
That's fair. I think I said Peter as well, didn't I?
He is also the slowest disciple, as John put it. And it's one of my favourite verses in the Bible. It's something along the lines of, I can't remember exactly, the other disciples outran Peter to the tomb. And I love how he was like, you know, this book is going to be remembered throughout history. I'm putting that in there.
Putting that one in there.
Let's talk about church life.
Yeah.
So, have you always been a churchgoer?
I have.
Or was it kind of...
No, I have. I grew up in a church. A church started in our front living room.
Okay.
And then it joined with another church, and then became... Actually, I shouldn't say it because it's going out online. It came a very big church around where we live, I should say. We were there for 13 years before God moved us on. And then I went to a Baptist church, which was quite nice.
Yeah.
Very different, very loving. I wasn't liked by the kids at the church I was at originally. I was bullied quite a bit. So to go to there was really nice, and that did me the world of good, because I think if I didn't leave and we were still at that church, I probably wouldn't be a Christian today. I would have walked away. Yeah. But stayed at that church until the pastor, it was a really small church. It probably had 20 or 30 people. We were the only youth, but that doesn't matter to me because I can talk to older people and stuff, so that doesn't faze me. But he moved to a church up in London, and he said to us, you know, you really ought to move on to this other Baptist church. It's just more youth there for your children, and it's just more going on, because you want you as a family are very involved in church life. You do a lot. Like my dad preaches a lot, so does my mum. My mum used to run kids groups. My dad used to be chair of finance and trustee member and stuff like that. So he was very involved. My mum was a bit hesitant to move on. She really liked that church. Yeah, the smaller, getting to know people a lot more. Yeah. But she said when me and Dad first went, because we were brave enough to go together, we weren't going to go on our own, so we took each other. She said this church, God said to her, this church is Lucas's home, effectively, was sort of the gist. And I went there and I fell in love pretty quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
It is a good church.
It is a lovely...
Had similar sort of feelings when, I went there when I was younger, but Milo had never been there, so I think it was similar for you, right?
Yeah, literally kind of the exact same. I went to one when I was younger, but we didn't leave, and then I was like, not for me. And then I kind of contemplate coming back, and then Josh was like, come to my one. So I went and fell in love with it. Just like you said, the community there is just so loving. Like straight away you walk in, you've got 3 people shaking your hands, asking how your week's been, and you walk further in and there's another 4 people just been like, great to see you again. Like, it's a great church, church.
Yeah. That's important though, to be that welcoming and loving, because you get some churches, and I've been to some, they're really cliquey. Yeah. And you go in there and they've been there forever, and they're all friends, and like it's just awful, because you don't know anyone, you're there, and it's sort of like you want to get to know people, but they're all chatting to their friends, and there's nothing particularly wrong with just chatting to your mates, but if you're new to the church, it gives off a really bad impression.
100%. Yeah.
Your question.
Oh, it's on me now. Okay, right.
The cyber one.
Yeah, I don't actually have too many more. I was gonna ask, right, with like your football stuff, with the trials, when it didn't happen for you, was that something that? How was it with God? Did you find it easy to get through? I
knew I wasn't good enough. I knew it. I was better. I knew I was better than the kids I was playing with in like the lower leagues. I knew that for sure. I was a lot quicker. I was always very fast, which I don't know if I still am. But I was always very fast. I love football, so I spent a lot of time, and I got very good at like all the like passing, shooting. Really, I didn't care for the really flashy skills. But when I was there and I was watching a couple of the guys, I was like, nah. The level, you know instantly. You look at some of the stuff those kids can do with a football. Yeah. And then I think they say they get 1.5 million children a year into these academies, and 20 of them make it to the Premier League. Just shows you how you have to be right.
You have to be best of the best.
I think it's like 0.9%. I think that's the stat, isn't it? Yeah, it's crazy. It's not even 1%. Okay, I've got a question, because I've been sitting on this for quite a while. Right, okay. So let's circle all the way back to the very beginning. Because we kind of skimmed over it a little bit. Your Romania trip.
Yes.
So you said you found a Romanian playing football, but how was the rest of it there?
The rest of it was fantastic. The sense of community there, they do it very differently to here in England. In Romania, like the doors always open. They never lock the doors, especially the little bit that I was in. It was like a village, and then like the neighbour is like the next village over to them, so it's like they really know each other. Everyone's welcomed. You always cook more food than your family needs, just in case someone was to come in, sort of thing. while I was out there, they were doing renovating the church. So they're taking out these windows that have been in there for like 120 years. And to gross out everyone listening, there was about 2 inches worth of dead bugs and cobwebs and stuff in between. So I did that, and then they had a scheme where it was people here in the UK and England would donate to the church, and then they would go around delivering food to like really impoverished areas in Romania. And when I say impoverished, like you couldn't believe it. It's like going back in time to like the 14th or 15th century. Like I'm talking like mud and wood houses, donkeys pulling like stuff, and that's their way of life. And they got this tiny little patch from like the communist regime, this tiny little patch of land that they work and grow crops and sell for a living, and they just can't make enough because you got the big farms now because it's gone into capitalism and everything, which isn't necessarily wrong, but they just don't have any means of making money. There isn't the same opportunities here in this country as there are in Romania. So a lot of Romanian people, especially the bit that I'm in, would emigrate to like Italy, France, UK, etc., doing like the manual labour jobs because they're very good at that. The one thing, the really big impression I got from Romania is they know how to repair stuff. Like I was driving this tractor and it must have been about 80 years old, I want to say, and you couldn't tell. They look after it so well and they sort of make things last. Whereas here, if we were to break something, we'll just go out and buy a new one because it isn't worth the hassle, sort of thing. Whereas over there, that tractor means everything to them, so they look after it and stuff like that. But so we did that, and we went round to all these houses, and some of the stuff you would see like 6 people in a room, no bigger than this, and that was their house. And their oven would be the heater for them, so it will do 2 jobs for them. But also in Romania, a lot of the houses are built, they use smoke as heat, so they would burn fire and that smoke would then be pumped around the house. Now the problem is, in Romania, inflation is up like massively. I think it's roughly 5 lei to a pound. And the average wage out there is £10,000. Now wood over there is gone through the roof, the price. So it costs anywhere between £1,000 to £2,000 depending on whereabouts in Romania you live. So people are having to choose between, repairing the house or eating, having a car, or heating their home. So to be able to go around and deliver these foods to people, so we would do some flour, eggs, a chocolate bar for children and just as a treat to people, milk, water, because that's another thing, the water out there isn't clean, especially in the rural parts. In the cities it might be different, but from the rural parts it's not drinkable. So we would deliver some water as well, so like proper stuff that people can like make do with and need. So that was quite tough as well, because I in comparison, I felt really out of place as well. That was another thing. I had quite a nice phone. It's a bit old here, but it's very nice there. I had some nice shoes, nice jeans, a nice jumper. I had quite a lot of lei in my pocket because I needed to buy something, and you need a lot. But compared to those people, they didn't have anything, so that was a lot. It was only about £20, but that £20 is like a month's salary to them. So it was like, I just felt really awkward is the best way, and you sort of, it really hits you, it does. And the only way I could describe it is if you go out there and see it, because it's one thing telling you, but you don't really get just how bad it is over there and how lucky we are here.
I spent like a week in Bucharest, which is like the main city, and on 2 of the days I took like a coach to various different sites. One day it was to see Dracula's castle, and the other one was to see like this really cool road they have in Romania. And in both coaches you kind of left the main city, and then straight away it kind of just went then into impoverished land. And it was kind of like mental, because you wouldn't even realise it if you were just blindfolded, plopped into Bucharest. You're like, oh, this is like a wealthy country. Like, there's no skyscrapers because, you know, fun fact, Romania's a lot of sand, so they can't have skyscrapers because they'll just fall into tube stations. Fun fact. Yeah. But apart from that, it's like a well-off place. But then, as soon as you take a coach like out to the outskirts of the city, it's just then like you said, people with horses and like carriages. And the other thing I found out while I was out there is a lot of the wood that they're trading is illegal wood because people just nip into the forest, just cut down a couple of trees, and you're not actually allowed to do that. Yeah. So there's like a huge problem with that out there, with, you know, people just stealing wood. But obviously, like you said, they need it. Yeah. So it's like you can't. Yeah. So it's a battle of like morality versus like laws and stuff, isn't it? So like you need the wood to physically survive the winter, but at the same time, your government's saying you're not allowed to do that. So it's like. Yeah.
The way do you mean?
Yeah, so that was a big thing for me while I was out there. But I didn't get to spend that time in the community helping like kind of you did, like with the church and stuff. So that's a really amazing story. But
would you say it was quite a like humbling experience almost being there, or?
I would say the best way to put it opened my eyes to how lucky we are to live in this country and be born here and not know that side of the world. Like, you know, you whip on the TV and you see glimpses around the world and you're like, oh, okay, sort of, it doesn't really hit home.
It is what it is, like, you know.
Sort of thing, like a bit of naivety to the okay, well, that's sad, but until you actually physically see it and you're like, oh, like, okay, wow,
Would you recommend that experience to people then, like being able to go and see something like that?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because if you, I don't know how to put it, if you get upset easily, then probably no, because
don't do
like, but if you're sort of more open-minded and a bit resilient to it, because let me tell you, when I came back home, I felt awful the first couple of days I was back home, and I was like, oh yeah, just whip on the heating and it's nothing. But stuff like that. But if you get upset easily, I wouldn't recommend it because it stays with you. I think that'll stay with me the rest of my life.
100%. I guess it's an experience for sure. I know my brother did like Build Hope Mexico. I don't know if either of you heard of that.
They didn't run that the year we were. That was
I really want to do it so bad, but it's like for those of you who don't know, it's like where you'd go out to Mexico, like the areas of like poverty in the country, and you just build a house for like a homeless family or whatever.
I think they built a couple, didn't they?
Yeah, well, they built quite a lot because there's normally quite a lot of people there, but it kind of depends, I guess, how big your group is, because I think they'd have like 6 people work on a house. It wasn't like a massive house, don't get me wrong, but like it's better. It's better than what they've got, and a house is a house, but like,
I remember Mr. Rich did that every year.
Mr. Rich.
What was surname?
I know, right? He was one of like the most religious people I've ever met. I know you can't quantify religion because, you know, that's not how it works, but he was so good in everything he did. Like, he, before every school year, he like went to people's houses to make sure they settled in well and like just stuff like that. And it was.
Oh, he did actually, didn't he? I think before I started in year 7, he did turn up at my house, and I was like, "Hello, who is this man?"
I remember him knocking on my door and just opening it and going, "Hello."
I remember that. But he was like the chaplain.
He was the chaplain of our school. Yeah. Because we went to a Church of England.
Church of England. We did. We kept it in touch with the belief, I guess, without really being around it.
Yeah. But I'm just segueing a little bit. I know I'm the guest. Have you guys ever done the Alpha course?
No.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It got mentioned on Saturday. And I didn't know what it was.
It's really good. So if you're just starting out as a Christian, although I've done it about 5 or 6 times when I was younger, because I just found it fantastic. It answers a lot of questions as well, but it's aimed at new Christians or people who are thinking about Christianity, about joining. and it's fantastic. It's a lot more modern, sort of younger people oriented.
Okay.
I would say that because they recently redid it. Excuse me.
Would you like another water?
Yes, please.
I'll go grab one. You two carry on.
So yeah, it's aimed at newer Christians, and it's basically, it just talks you through who Jesus is, what it says in the Bible against like some common like atheist beliefs almost. So like, oh, you can't see God. Yes, because he, shows himself in different ways, and there isn't a big booming voice necessarily all the time. Sometimes he speaks to us in a little whisper and it's a bit difficult to hear, but that's because he wants us to stop. Sort of things like that. It's so good. I really highly recommend it. I've done it, like I said, 5 or 6 times, and when I was much younger, 13, 14, helping deliver it. Okay. And I've seen a lot of people come to Christ for it, and a lot of people who are older Christians, it answered a lot of their questions. And a really good way with it as well is it's like a group discussion as well. So you pause the video when they tell you to, and there's a big question, and normally you have a lot of more old and more experienced Christians who are able to give answers, not necessarily all the time because we are human and we don't know all things, but through it you get a lot out of it. I really highly recommend it. Okay. I think we'll...
You're going to have to write me down on that after. I missed half of that. But enjoy your water though.
Thank you. Talk to Matt and Tom about that, because it could be quite good.
We'll get Matt and Tom to do it.
It's like the cliche discipling almost, sort of going out there, bring people in. So like we answer your questions sort of thing. If you've got a question, Alpha's the place to bring it.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Okay. Just as an added bonus question, because I know you said this last week. Do you have a favourite Bible verse?
Oh, yeah, I love this one. I love to see people's favourites.
Let me get it up. It's a passage rather than a Bible verse.
Okay,
but
we'll allow it.
We'll allow it. Mini sermon here.
I did do sermon training in my internship, so it's a bit rusty though. I'm not going to get any signal. I believe it's Peter 4, and it talks about being persecuted as a Christian, and that it will happen. Because being a Christian, it isn't always sunshine and rainbows as...
No, it's not.
As we'd love for it to be. It isn't, you will get persecuted for being a Christian.
Yeah, like if it was easy,
I think it's like the... If I'm right, if it is Peter.
1 Peter 4?
I think it is in...
Let me...
It's in Matthew as well somewhere, I think. But
yeah, 1 Peter 4. 12 to 19. It's fantastic.
Do you want to read it?
I won't read it because I am dyslexic and I can't read that.
What was it? It was 12 to 19.
Yeah, it's quite long though.
Where are we at? Okay. So, it starts. Dear friends, do not be surprised at the fiery ordeal that has come on you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you. But rejoice inasmuch as you participate in the sufferings of Christ, so that you may be overjoyed when his glory is revealed. If you are insulted because of the name of Christ, you are blessed, for the Spirit of glory and of God rests on you. If you suffer, it should not be as a murderer or thief or any other kind of criminal or even as a meddler. However, if you suffer as a Christian, do not be ashamed, but praise God that you bear the name. For it is time for judgment to begin with God's household. And if it begins with us, what will the outcome be for those who do not obey the gospel of God? And if it is hard for the righteous to be saved, what will become of the ungodly and the sinner? So then those who suffer according to God's will should commit themselves to their faithful Creator and continue to do good. I like that actually.
Yeah,
it's really good. I can't lie, I did a bit of like a mess up at the start.
I
was the one with
that.
It was a rough start, but he ruins it.
I did.
We found out that we're both, me and Milo, both dyslexic on...
this is actually the funny
This is a funny story.
as well.
We were paired together on like one of these like trivia games.
It's a logo board game if you want to search it up.
And we were asked to spell something, and Milo gave it to me and he said, "Oh, spell it." And I said to him,
It was some brand, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something like Schweppes or something like that. And he was like, "Oh yeah, can you spit it?" And I said, "No, I'm dyslexic." And he said, "So am I." And we just the penny dropped.
Everyone laughed as well, which was the worst part.
We were the only pair. We were the only pair that only had like 2 members. Like everyone had like 3 or 4.
There was like 20 of us, and we managed. Well, more than that, wasn't
I
it?
think there was only like 3 dyslexic people.
And we managed to pair
get
up.
2 of them. Like, yeah.
And we were the only ones that had a spelling question. No one else in the game had a spelling question. It was like the spell Schweppes, and we just looked at each other and went, nah. Like,
We had a go. We were close.
we got
actually
real
quite
close.
close.
I think we
real
put
close.
like double P instead of double E, and it was
Yeah.
like 1 letter away. So yeah.
To be honest, like, I reckon God did that on purpose because he's got a funny sense of humour. He was like, you know what? I'm enjoying
He was
this.
like, put these
Right.
together. Well, we didn't come last. I think we came like 2nd. I think we did quite well.
Did we
I
win it?
honestly think my team might have come last. We were terrible, and we kept
Oh, yeah,
getting
you
some of
came
the
last, 'cause
most
you were like
dodgy
the
questions
silver
I've ever
ones.
seen. It was like, name this jam, and it was just a jar with a red substance in it. It was like, how am I meant to know? Like, that could be any jam. Like,
You also had the SAS motto, who dares wins.
oh,
And I said it, and then I even gave you a hint. I was like, Special Forces.
we couldn't hear you. We were on the opposite side of the room.
I said it loudly.
No.
Milo told me off for speaking
Well,
too
I was
loudly.
like, what, shit.
You see,
Don't tell
our
him.
group was the group with hearing problems.
We're a very diverse church.
We are.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we shall end this. This is goodbye from me and Milo. Goodbye from Lucas.
Bye.
It just ends like that.
Right,
It's
so
not like
we
that.
should list down what we're editing out. By we, I mean you.
All of it.
Any part where Lucas is talking.